What's up guys? In this video I'm going to teach you and I'm going to show you how to use and how to create different models in Django. So models are a ORM, which basically means object relational mapping, and it's basically a way of dealing with objects in a database, like dealing with the information of the database as if they were objects. So it is very useful. And how do we do this? How do we create different models? So this website that we are going to create is going to be related with films and actors. So it is going to be very cool. So the first thing that I recommend you is, as you saw in the previous video, we have installed all these and we have the different application, the project, etc. So now what I recommend you is opening a folder, and in this folder, open the folder, and instead of going only here, come inside this one in which you have all these, because otherwise it's going to be a mess. So once you've done that, we are going to go to the catalog application, and here in models we have to define our models. So we are going to define three things. We are going to define actors, films, and comments, because a film can have comments. So let's go with that. So in order to create a model, the first thing that you need to do is to create basically a class. So you create a class, you give it a name, so in this case actor, and the class must inherit the things from a model. How do you inherit things from a model? You just use this thing that was imported by default, and you here put models model, and this class actor inherits everything from the model. So now here you have to give the attributes that an actor has. So for example, if you want to have the age, let's do that. So if we want that the actor has an age, we have to put here age, and now we have to say the type of the field. How do we do this? We say models, and for example, not this, integer field. So with this, we are saying that the actor class contains an attribute which is an integer field that is the age. So we can add also, for example, a name, which is models, is a char field, and here you need to specify one specific thing, which is the max length. For char field, you always have to specify that. So you put here, for example, 100, and now we have to create another thing. So for example, we can create here a slug. What is a slug? So for example, let's see my name. My name is this, Kevin de la Coba Malam. As you can see here, there are spaces, there are capital letters, etc. If you want to create a link based on this, it won't be a good idea, because dealing with capital letters and all that can be a mess. So iSlug basically what it does is that it removes all the capital letters, it removes all the spaces, the comma, etc., and it leaves the name like this. So it is easier to create links based on that. So the slug is like this, and in order to create a slug, as it was already saying here, you have to create a slug field. So the slug field, you have to leave it with null equal to true, so if there isn't, it's okay, and you can leave it with blank equal true, so you can create an object without the slug. So that's it. So now we have defined an actor that contains an age, a name, an age, and a slug. Another thing you can define in the models is a class meta. And what is this class meta class? Well, what does this do? So the thing that it does is that, for example, it does a lot of things related to the actual object. So for example, you can say the ordering in which you want this to be displayed. So let's say that I want that the actors are first displayed by age. So this is going to be like this. And if some actors have the same age, I want you to order the actors by name. So this is one thing you can do. So another cool thing that you can do in this, that you must do in the actor class, is that since we are using a slug field which can be blank, we need to establish that that value. And how do we establish that value? We can do it in the save method, because Django has one thing which is a save method. So whenever you create an object, you have to save it, and you call the save method. So you can redefine that method in this way. So if you do this, you are now redefining the method save. And what I recommend you is that, since you have to create the slug, you can import one thing. Let me see what it was. So you have to do from Django template default filters import slugify. So this is a function which will make the slug from a string. So let me open the environment, because it was showing all this and now it's okay. So now what you can do is that you can assign the slug based on the name of the author. So you use slugify self name, and for example, let's use also the age. So we will create a slug based on the age and the name. So from now here we initialize the slug, and what we can do now is that we can continue using the already implemented method to save, so we don't mess up and we don't do anything strange. So we do this. So we are almost finished. Another thing that we can do is that we have to define the str method. Like, you don't really have to do this, but I recommend you doing this, because whenever you want to display an actor just by accessing the object, like not get accessing the name and the age, no, just saying, okay, print the actor, you can define this so the actor will be shown. So how do you do this? You just return a string in which you can say, for example, name, two dots, and here you put self name, and here, well, you have to send here self, and here you can put here age, two dots, space, and we are going to concatenate the age, and that's it. So next thing is that you can get the URL of this, but I think that we will see this in a different video, because this is a little bit more complex. So now we are going to create the class, well, the object, well, so now we are going to create the class for the films. And now here we have to do as we did before, film, and here we have to inherit from model. And that's it. Now again you have to define the attributes that you want to display, and that's it. Okay, so now we have defined the attributes, and as you can see, is more or less the same. Again, you can do this. You can define a class meta to say the ordering of the films, but it's more or less the same. So for example, here we can say that I want to order this by a score, and then by the price, and then by the title. So yeah, for example, you can do this. And again, since we are using here the slug method, you have to also redefine the save method. So whenever you save, the slug is created. But be careful, don't copy and paste like this. You have to also define here you have to change it. You have to base it on the title. And for example, let's just base it on the title. So yeah, it's like that. So we can also define the str method to define how the film is going to be displayed. And again, you can do this return, but in this case, let's just do it with the title, so we don't do too many things. And now it comes the interesting part. So for example, a film can have several actors, and an actor can be in several films. So how do we display that? We can display that by using here, for example, a film contains actor, and the actor is a many-to-many field. So an actor contains several films, and a film contains several actors. So we can do this like this, models, many to many field, and here you just have to say to what you are aiming. Since we are creating this in the film class, we are aiming at the actor class, and that's it. That's how you create that. Finally, we are going to create the class comment, and this is very simple. Again, it's just repeating what we did before. Comment models, model, and a comment contains a text, which is going to be a chart field, and it contains a max length of, let's say, 1000, and that's it. But this contains another cool feature, which is a foreign key, because a film contains several comments. So you need to display that, because a comment only points at one film. So how do you display that? How do you display that a comment points to just one film? You can use, for example, field called foreign key. So if you use this and here you say to what you are aiming, we are aiming to film, this means that the comment is aiming at one film. But here we have to add several things. For example, on delete. So on delete, we want to set this to null, because otherwise we are going to have troubles. And for example, we can say that the comment can be null, and also we can say that the film to which is aiming can be null. We can say that this can be blank at first. So again, here, since we are not using the slug, we don't need to redefine this. And also, we can define the str method, and here we just put self this, and we return, for example, the text. So we can do this more. So we can make this better by putting here comment, and here we put the text, and that. So now we need to save all these changes that we have done, all these things that we have created in a database. Django uses by default SQLite, and we need to this to store all these tables in SQLite. How do we do this? First of all, you have to come to the tutorial folder, and here you will have a file called settings. Here in installed apps, you have to add something, which is the catalog app. So if you just put here catalog, you have added the catalog app. The authentication app, we will use it later. So for now, we are not going to add that. So now the next thing that you have to do is to, for example, let's close the activate, clear, and now the thing that we have to do is to store all those changes. How do we do this? Python 3 manage.py, and now the thing that we have to do is to use make migrations. Okay, I read that wrong. And you see here that we have created the model actor, the model film, and the model comment. And now what we have to do is to migrate. So we put here manage.py migrate. And you see, now all these changes have been saved. And if you want to test if everything works fine, the thing that you can do is you can Python 3 manage.py run server, and it is running without any kind of issue. So this means that there isn't anything wrong. And if you try to load this and this is being shown, it means that everything is okay. So I think this is everything for the models video. I think that, yeah, we saw everything that we need. And if you understood the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.